3, 2, 1, clap.
Wait, were we clapping on one or after?
We do this every time. Hey everybody, welcome to our first episode of Bacon on the Rocks. I am Chuck Overnesser, and I will always be here with Eric Kwiatek and Chris Walsh. Guys, welcome to the show. Number one, episode 1, and it'll be a number 1 show. So the first thing is, obviously, I just introduced Eric and Chris. This show is mainly just us talking about what's going on in the world, of what's happening to us. There's a lot of different things. I think kind of came out of boredom too, and I'm going to get rid of this pen because that's going to make a lot of noise, and I'll just keep tapping it. So, oh, Eric, what's that?
Oh, this fancy glass you had made for us.
These fancy glasses. Yeah, I got to show everybody. Here's these fancy glasses that we had made. That's our logo right there. And then if Chris and Eric, I got these glasses and I got them etched with our logo because you know what? We got to have something cool and fancy on the show because we are Bacon on the Rocks. So, I mean, no, I'm not putting bacon in my glass, but so just before we get going on that, I want to take care of our sponsor first here for today's show. And our sponsor is Uncle Pete's Boats. When you need a boat, make sure you check out Uncle Pete. He's got you covered. Anyways, but
good
with
old
the glasses, Uncle Pete. I love Uncle Pete. He's a great guy.
Everybody loves
really
Uncle Pete.
I appreciate him so much, really backing us up on this. But again, with these glasses, I want to go back. The etching that I got done, I want to say was done by a local guy. He is owner of haircomb.com, and he makes amazing combs for either your hair or your beard. He makes beard combs. He makes combs for your hair. It comes in like several varieties, like lengths. You can have a short one, a long one. It comes with like a leather sheathing that you can kind of live in. He really makes some fancy stuff. And the best part is it's all American made, and it's also local. Yeah, beard combs.
All three of us have beards. How come they're not a sponsor on this thing? I mean, come on.
I'll talk to Mike. So Mike Brucker, you just heard that. Chris is calling you out. So we're going to have to talk, I guess.
I need a new beard comb, you know?
Let me tell you, the stuff he makes, I've had one for about 2 years now, and Xavier takes it all the time. He loves it, so I got to get him one. I'm kind of falling behind on that.
Now, Chuck,
but just what?
That's not hair comb, right? It's what?
It's actually air comb.
How do you spell
like
that?
The air, H-E-I-R. Actually, I want to make sure. HEIRCOMB.com is where you can find them. So it's like you can pass it on to your heir is his whole thing, because the story behind it was he found, going through his grandfather's stuff, an old metal comb that was his grandfather's. And so that kind of gave him the idea. It's like, you know what, this is a cool little heirloom to, have for my grandfather. And so he just started this whole business in his garage. Actually, not even his garage. I want to say it's like a big barn, but he's like revamped it. I mean, he does a million different things in there. He's a really talented guy, and the stuff he comes out with and that he's just able to do, like glass etching. I mean, the guy just doesn't stop, and he's really talented. So I would really encourage everybody, if you want to, go to aircomb.com, because let me tell you, there's a lot of amazing stuff made locally. And it's also American made, and you can't beat that. So
go there right now.
Thank you, Mike.
After the show. Wait till after the show.
Once you're done listening to us. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So let's talk about this week. This week is, I feel, a pretty big week. And we're going to ignore the total Corona thing because everybody knows what's going on there. But this week was May the 4th. It may come up, and we'll go with it when it has to. But it was May the 4th this week. And Chris, I know this has special meaning in your heart.
Yes, huge Star Wars fan ever since I was, as long as I can remember, really. First movie I ever saw in the movie theater was Return of the Jedi in 1983. And I'd seen the other two on home video before and been hooked ever since, really. So a lot of stuff going on with them. The final episode of Clone Wars aired on May the 4th, and they released the documentary about The Mandalorian, the first episode. So both.
Did you see it yet?
I saw them both. Which one were you talking about specifically?
Mandalorian. I'm sorry.
The Mandalorian was cool.
I'm sorry about that.
It was cool. It was like a roundtable discussion about with all the directors from. They had like 7 different, maybe 6 or something like that, directors of all the episodes, and they all got together and kind of talked about their episodes and what each other liked about each other's episodes. So it was pretty cool. If you got Disney Plus, I highly recommend it. Check it out. And they did
Absolutely.
It's like a new style of filmmaking that they're doing with like a projected wall behind them. I don't know. It's like curved and I missed
that part. Huh.
I'm doing
I watched it too. I didn't see that.
Well, they didn't get too much into it there, but like I know that they did it, so I could see that it was there, and but there's videos online about it, so it's pretty cool how they did it. Most of their sets are like just like they have like this curved wall, so instead of like a green screen, it's like a giant TV basically behind them, and in theory you can save money. And when the camera tracks, the background tracks with it. It's really like cutting edge stuff. Go check it out.
I gotta go back and look at that. I was probably helping the kids with breakfast or something, or I don't know. I missed that totally. I have to watch it again.
Well, again, in the doc, did you watch the little first episode of The Mandalorian behind the scenes or whatever?
No.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Oh, okay.
Not behind the scenes. I just saw the director's part.
Yeah,
okay. So there's two things I got to check out then. Okay, never mind. There it is.
That's what I was talking about. Was the director's thing? They didn't go into it in depth or anything with that.
Okay.
They just, I've seen other shots, so when I saw the shots in that, I recognized them,
Okay. Cool. And then also they came out with Rise of Skywalker, I think that's the name of it, right?
Yes. That was the streaming release, yeah.
Yeah, I saw. So I was actually watching that just before we got down here because I didn't want to watch Entertainment Tonight with my wife because it's Entertainment Tonight.
Continuing on the Star Wars front, talking about the directors of The Mandalorian, did you see who got announced to direct one of the next Star Wars movies? They didn't really say what it was, but...
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Yep.
Director of Thor Ragnarok. He also directed the final episode of The Mandalorian.
Yes, he did.
So it's exciting news. He obviously I like Thor Ragnarok, so he's going to write and direct it, I believe, right, Eric?
Yes. That's what I thought. That's what I read, yeah.
So my only real complaint about
Co-write.
Co-write? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My only complaint about Thor Ragnarok would have been I thought some of the humor was like a little bit out of place. And that was one of the things I didn't like about The Last Jedi also. They seemed like they were also trying to copy that. So I'm kind of hoping he tones that down a little bit for whatever he's working on. But exciting news.
Yeah, and then just one more thing to stay on here. Chris, I saw you got a little friend this week for May the 4th.
Yes, I got this guy back here, the child, a.k.a. Baby Yoda. The child is the official name so far.
But everybody knows him as Baby Yoda.
Everyone knows him as Baby Yoda. He's back there. He came in last week, and then this guy came in yesterday on May the 4th. And I actually ordered this, like, I don't know, whenever The Mandalorian was on, and they announced these things for pre-order. So I've been waiting on it for a while. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet.
Are you gonna take it out of the box? That's the question.
I mean, I was debating it. I'm not a box collector. I think I'm gonna leave this guy in its little egg crate thing back there because I think I like the way it looks, and it's basically out of the box already. But this guy, yeah, I think I am gonna take him out. Should I take him out right here on camera?
No, I don't want to be the one to ruin it. I don't want to be the one because honestly, I'm a
making
box
this an
guy.
unboxing video now.
Like all my video cameras, and everything. I keep all the boxes, so when I got to oh no, he did it! Oh, didn't you ever watch Toy Story? Oh,
yeah. Your toys are meant to be played with, you know. There he is, right there.
Yeah, so that was the crazy part. That was a very pivotal character in the Mandalorian thing, but complete secret, and obviously it took off like crazy. Everyone wanted merchandise, but it was so secretive they didn't even have toy companies making anything yet. And now everyone's getting their stuff right now.
Yeah, it's like a delayed reaction.
That is crazy. I didn't realize
everyone's getting
long.
stuff they completely forgot they even ordered.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened when this guy showed up, especially because I ordered this one from the Disney store online, and all of a sudden it just showed up, and I was like, "What? I didn't even order anything recently." And then I opened it up, and it was a nice surprise. But this guy I got on Amazon, so I got an alert that it was coming. So I kind of knew that it was coming.
Amazon ruining it once again.
Wrecking the surprise.
So with Star Wars, I mean, so yeah, this week was May the 4th, but then right after that was Tuesday, which is always usually Taco Tuesday. But it wasn't only Taco Tuesday this week. It was Cinco de Mayo on a Taco Tuesday. And so did anybody do anything special for Taco Tuesday / Cinco de Mayo this week year?
Breaking the illusion today. I had tacos.
Yeah, but you couldn't decide.
I couldn't.
You sent me a picture earlier, remember?
I went chicken
You're kind of like,
beef.
Yeah. Eric sends me a picture. All of a sudden I get a text. I'm sitting down having just my beef taco. All of a sudden I get a text and Eric's like, I couldn't decide, so I had to make both.
Yeah.
My wife. Actually, I sent that to the group chat, but then you responded just to me.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, because
you
it went to
responded with
I
your
didn't have
watch.
my phone. I responded with my watch. Yep, because it separates all my texts and it annoys me to no end, and I don't know why it does that. So,
I
Apple,
actually
you gotta
had
fix
tacos
that.
today too.
What kind did you have?
I also had beef or steak and chicken.
Ooh, steak would have been real good. I
Steak
had
was
steak
good.
yesterday,
was
though.
good. But we accidentally bought gluten-free wraps, so it did not turn out well. Gluten-free wraps do not taste well. Sort of like
No.
eating sandpaper,
Yeah,
I like
very
my
much
gluten.
so. Very much so.
I like my gluten also.
So what else did they do on Cinco de Mayo? I just know that I was supposed to eat tacos, I guess. What is it even? I forgot what it is altogether. I know it's a
Well,
celebration.
It's their Independence Day.
Oh, okay.
Hence, Cinco de Mayo is just May the 5th, just like our 4th of July.
July. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember it now that you say it, but it's just like it totally left my mind.
Yep, and then
Like,
Americans
why?
just celebrate it so they can drink cerveza and margaritas.
Anybody have a cerveza with their tacos?
Nope, just my tacos.
Just the tacos. Okay.
Well, that's the big problem. The major cerveza here is Corona.
During the coronavirus, I saw that whole meme earlier. It was something about like people have to stay in and celebrate Cinco de Mayo, yet it's because they can't have it because of the corona. It's all just one whole.
They're having their Coronas indoors during Corona.
Yeah. Never had a corona.
Never had one, really?
But yeah. And you know what I heard? I was listening. I never had one, but I heard a rumor. Don't know how true it is, that with a Corona, the reason why they put a lime on the top and like not even in the beer. Like I see a lot of people when they have a Corona, they like shove the lime down into the beer itself. But they actually, I guess, like down in Mexico, I could be totally wrong on this, but they put a lime on the top because it's supposed to keep like flies or something away from the tip, so that way when they're drinking, the fly doesn't go down and into the bottle.
Huh.
I don't know how true that is. I'll have to look it up and tell you.
Never heard it, but
Never
I don't
heard of
know.
it either.
If not, I'm making up the rumor now and believe it because it's true. I never lie. Until I've been proven wrong, then it's a lie. So,
It sounds plausible.
I mean, you could put a lime there, but you could also leave your thumb over it. You could put a strawberry over it. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they say that's the reason. Yeah, I know, Eric.
Well, if you
I
leave
don't
your
know.
thumb over it, though, doesn't that kind of warm up the mouth of the beer, and then the Corona the lime would keep it nice and cold? I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't drink beer.
yeah, I was gonna say you're the one leading this conversation about the beer, and you're the one that doesn't drink.
Well, I figured you'd correct me one way or the other. Usually, whatever I'm talking about, so.
Not that.
Okay. So I really think, just to kind of give the audience an idea of what this is and who we are a little bit, just give a little bit of groundwork here. We should each give a little bit of introduction to ourselves. So, any volunteers, or am I picking?
You pick, Chuck.
Okay, Eric. Awesome. Go. Eric.
Okay. Well, I'm Eric. I am heavily rooted in graphic design. That's actually how I got to know you two, basically. It's through my career. Always had an interest in design from when I was younger. It's something I've always had: crayons, pencils, whatever, coloring, drawing. Didn't really get it from either of my parents. One of my grandmothers was very, very artsy and very crafty. So probably that's where most of that comes from for me. I always just had a passion in that. As soon as I had a computer, always interested in just what can I do with this thing? What can I create? What can I have? Whatever. Self-taught on everything. Eventually worked myself up to the big program and got Photoshop. Won't talk about the legalities of how we got Photoshop, but got Photoshop and just went to town teaching myself small things here and there until it led to everything that has transpired since. Got a job working for the Utica Comets, doing graphic design for them. And that's what led me to meet you guys. And here we are.
Heck yeah.
And here we are.
We are here. Absolutely. All right, Chris, what about you? Oh, well, wait, actually, I got a question, Eric. So
Yeah.
what Photoshop did you actually get? Do you remember like what version you got first?
5.
Was it 5 or was it like 5? So wait, when did CS start? Was was 5?
I think it was CS6 was the first one, wasn't it?
They started straight into CS and CS. Like it was after 8, maybe 7 or 8 was one of the last ones, and then they did the suite thing.
Okay, because I only know that's where I started to get into Adobe stuff was when CS showed up. But what's your?
I might have completely lied about the 5. It might have been 7.
It's okay. We aren't holding it against you.
Whichever one I started using first was also not the most recent one because it was the easier one for me to get.
I think we all had that moment one time in our lives, and
For sure.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. It was crazy back then.
Yeah, and then Photoshop led into Illustrator, led into InDesign, led into now I'm daring to touch After Effects and Premiere.
You're just glutton for punishment. Now, but I also, between Photoshop and Illustrator, which one would you rather use nowadays, though? Because you do a lot on Illustrator.
There's no rather.
Depends on the need.
Exactly. They're very different programs made for doing very different things.
Mm-hmm.
I love logo design, so that's Illustrator all the way. But then I also love taking what I designed in Illustrator and or taking photos, combining the two, manipulating them, whatever, and that's Photoshop. So,
and then he likes taking those logos, putting it into After Effects, teaching himself After Effects, and then makes cool little logo reveals for whenever there's a new logo or something coming up every time.
Basically.
Yep. Cool. Chris, what about you? Tell us, give us your life story in 5 minutes.
I don't think it's going to take 5 minutes, but
I think it could.
Basically, I'm the camera guy. I kind of grew up with either a camera in my hand or a camera in my face. My father was an early adopter for video cameras back when they had the one that would go on your shoulder and then you had to carry around the VCR on your other shoulder. So he's got tapes all the way back to the early 80s. And he originally started out as a barber and then slowly moved into video, and then the video overtook his barbering, and so he started doing things like high school plays and high school football games and sports and weddings and things like that. And so when I got old enough, I started working for him. I was cheap help,
Yeah.
So he would book a wedding or something like that on a Saturday, and then he didn't have anybody to shoot the football game in the afternoon, so I'd go and shoot the football game or whatever it was. I can remember shooting school plays for him and stuff like that. And then I just kind of continued to do it. I just enjoyed playing with cameras and seeing how I could improve my shots. I used to like to draw when I was younger, but I wasn't very good at drawing. I was like better than average, but not like good enough to be like an artist or something like that. So I could envision these things in my head, and with a camera, I was able to actually put what I had in my head like in front of the camera and make it a reality. So that's kind of how I got into doing more of the camera work, and then, got a job doing it professionally out of college. I worked in Rochester for a short time, came back to Utica, been working in Utica since 2000 full time. And then as we've alluded to earlier, I got a job with the Comets working freelance. So that's how I met you guys.
All coming full circle.
And here we are.
And here we are today in the midst of Corona.
In midst of Corona.
How about you, Chuck?
Now, well, wait. Now see, the first thing that surprised me, and Eric, I don't know if it surprised you. I didn't know this. Chris just told me this a little bit before, that his father was a barber. I had no idea about that. Like, how long was he a barber for? Just like forever, or?
Oh yeah, he right out of high school, he went to barber school, I believe in Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think they had one there at the time. And, he did his, I'm not exactly sure how the process worked, but he had to work at like a barbershop out there for, I don't know, some period of time before he could open up.
Kind of like an apprentice or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then he and my mom bought a house in Ilion in 1970. And then it was zoned commercially, so he could.
Oh, that's nice.
And at the time, it was a 3-family house. So it was pretty large house, so he put his shop right in one of the sections of the house, and used to cut hair right out of the place where he lived, and did that he opened in 1970, I think, and he didn't start doing the video until the early 80s. And then he would barber during the week, and then on the weekends he would do his video stuff, because usually it was weddings or sporting events or something like that he started taping. And then just slowly over time, he started doing more and more video, and he would cut down to doing like 3 days a week cutting hair, and then editing his video stuff and shooting and stuff like that. And then towards the end of his life, he let his barber license lapse, and he was still just cutting like his personal friends and, the customers that he had for a long time. He was just doing their hair. Wasn't really, the shop wasn't really open, but it was still there.
Cool. Yeah, that totally blew. I had no idea. Because I've only known you. I knew you before, like the comments when we kind of got there. And it wasn't even like I knew you. I knew about you more, I guess I would say. Something like that. But just like to hear something like that, like I only knew Walsh Video, and I was like, oh, you know what? I only thought your father did the video the whole entire time. Like that would really surprise me to hear that he actually cut hair, which is awesome. Now, were you the cool kid who had the best hairstyle all the time, or did you not let your dad cut your hair?
Oh,
Here we go.
Well, first of all, I was very limited growing up on what my father would do to my hair. Like, I don't know. I grew up in the 80s, and so like Brian Bosworth was like real popular at the time. I'm not exactly sure what year that was, but he had like the lines in the side of his head or whatever like that. And everybody had that haircut, but my father would not do that haircut. So
Dad.
he was an excellent barber, but he was very traditional in the stuff that he would do. So I mean, I think my hair looked decent growing up, but like I couldn't get too extreme about that. And I never paid for a haircut until I think I was 35 years old, something like that.
That's awesome.
And right now, we'd do anything to be able to pay for a haircut.
What's that?
I said, and then right now, we would do anything to be able to pay for a haircut.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Out of the house.
Yeah. That's why I'm wearing a hat today.
That's why Chuck's wearing a hat.
Yeah, this is the longest my hair has been in like 20 years, I would say.
My hair was getting very bad, and so finally my wife's like, I can't stand it anymore, and she's never cut at least a boy's hair, like my hair, She's never cut it.
Boys.
And a boy's, yeah. Well, she would cut her sister's hair. Like she had 2 sisters. And so they would always give each other just quick little trims. Like that's, they would just do something like that. So she was used to cutting girls' hair, but boys' hair, no. She did my son, Xavier's hair, and she did a great job. And so she's like, okay, I got you. No problem. We'll do it. So I'm not blaming her. Let me preface it with, it is not her fault, because then I'm going to hear about it all day. But when I go to Gentleman's Corner down here in New Hartford, I always tell the guy, okay, it's 3 on the sides and just clip the top. That's usually what I do. Well, we don't have clippers. I have a beard trimmer thing. Well, 3 to a beard trimmer is very different from 3 to a hair cutting situation. So I just put it on there, didn't think to look, nothing to cross-reference. She didn't look. She thought I knew what I was talking about. So she just and then I hear, oh. And then I feel just this cold gust of air come on the back of my head right there. I just feel this. I'm like, it's way too short. And so I almost have no hair. She recovered. Like she had a hard time starting out. She'll even admit she had a hard time starting out, and then she recovered well. And it doesn't look bad, but it's really short. So I haven't had my hair this short since like my swim days, when I would actually take all my hair off and then buzz and bick it and be totally bald. My hair has not been this short in a very long time, and it's cold now. It's very cold. The weather got cold today, and I'm like, okay, I'm just feeling it as I walk around. So I have like a hood on all the time now because it's just cold. But no, that was real interesting. I did not know. All I knew about your father was video. And then to hear he was a barber, I thought that was really interesting and awesome that he actually was able to do both. Because back in the day when he was doing editing, that wasn't an easy process whatsoever. I mean, no. I only got a little taste of it, and God bless him, he had the patience, and you had the patience even to kind of work in that kind of system. Because as a fellow editor, I would have just been like, I'm not doing video. I would have just quit right there and then. So that's amazing. He found the time to do it.
Yeah, I can remember like doing stuff for him at the time, and that was the only way to do it without spending thousands of dollars, to buy like a really professional piece of equipment to do it. And I would do stuff for him, and I remember thinking to myself, like, why does he do this for money? Like, this isn't worth it. It's just so hard. But
no, that's awesome.
But
See, Chris, I told you took. Go ahead.
The weird thing was when then he started to get into nonlinear editing at one point, and I was teaching him that, and like it just didn't click for him. Like that was a concept that was kind of lost on him, and I had to show him like a bunch of stuff to do, and I don't think he ever really enjoyed that aspect of it. I mean, in theory, you could do so much more with the computer. But I mean, he had all these mixers and stuff that he ended up buying, and he would do like chroma key and stuff like that with his mixer. But to each his own, amazing. I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. And sometimes you just don't want to learn. We all have different things we do and don't want to do when we edit. Everybody's different. So I mean, there's all these preset things now. I try not to use them. I like more of a natural look. That's just me. But these younger kids, they're all using the presets and they throw them in. Their videos are whipping every which way, which it looks cool. I get it, but I try not to. So awesome. So now I guess it's my turn.
Your turn, Chuck.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, lived here in this upstate New York area all my life. I was interested in just movies and being in front of the camera, and you could never get me away once the camera was on. In case you can't tell. So my interest was always in video. I also just have learned throughout the years, I would like always grab the camera. Like, like Chris was saying, I had the shoulder camera. My parents did. But it did not have the VHS on the side. The VHS actually went in it. So that was the first camera I really had experience with, was with a big VHS on the side. Until one day, I don't know why, I felt I could do a science project with my mom's VHS camera. Well, my friend and I during the science project left it on my bed, and then I jumped on it, and then the camera fell off and broke, and we lost that camera. That's camera one. It broke, and yeah, there's a couple throughout the years.
That's
I
not
broke.
good. That's not good that you can put a number next to the first one, and then that implies there's more. Yeah.
Well, I had a heart attack. I was like in 5th or 6th grade. I had a heart attack because that's the big expensive camera. That's like, and so yeah, that's of course I remember the first one I broke. Oh my gosh, heart attack and a half. And the thing is, it worked. I lost the focus. So if I could have fixed the focus, it would have been fine. But I couldn't fix the focus. So fast forward to college. I went to Utica College and was about halfway through. I was like 2 years in, getting ready to be a junior, and I was kind of teetering and tottering. Do I want to keep doing like communications, or do I want to be a cop? Took the cop test. I missed the run by 2 seconds, and that ended it there. Because I don't run long distance. They wanted 1.5 miles. It's not a lot, but to me, it's either sprint and go as hard as you can.
He missed it by 2 seconds and wasn't going to try again.
Nope, wasn't gonna.
What was the time you had to reach, Chuck? Do you remember?
I want to say 12. I don't know. 12:15 is what's coming out. Somewhere around 12 minutes. And I just missed it. And it's, I don't know. I honestly though, a lot of my mother's very happy I didn't make it. My wife is very happy I'm not a cop now, especially with the way people are towards cops now. So they're pretty happy about that. Me, I still every once in a while I'm like, I wish I was a cop. But at the same time, what happened was we got a new professor in at Utica College, because what we were using there was exactly what Chris was talking about. You had what they call the toaster, and you would take the VHS and you would mark one VHS player with another one, and then you would have to mark it and do all these different things. And I'm like, this is a whole process. I don't want anything to do with the video now. If this is what it takes, forget it. I didn't want it. Got a new professor who came in. He gave us all new like nonlinear digital editing, which is what everybody's used to now. In case you don't know what nonlinear is, I'm sorry. I'm using editor jargon. But that's just where you can take your like clips you have on your phone. You can maneuver them very easily versus linear, which is working with a VHS, and you got to line up the tapes and then hit record on one, hit play on the other, and time it out right. Give you a brief round thing, because I know we're using jargon that people don't really use. So anyways, that's linear, nonlinear, and brief. But then once he brought in the nonlinear, I really got addicted to it. I like that I was able to manipulate and handle the video much easier than what we were doing before. So then that kind of kept me going. Graduated UC, and I actually started out with a local TV show, the Keeler Show. And honestly, it was the best 2 years of not experience of my life. I wanted to say training, but it was so intense because we were putting out half-hour TV shows, and it's a huge process to sit there and put out a TV show that's broadcast quality. Especially when we got to we actually were first in a small local market, then we moved out into the Syracuse area. So now we were producing 2 shows, and to get a show out, and the deal with Syracuse was though they wanted a new show every day. So we had to go out, and we were working every day to record a whole entire show, edit it that day, get it put to tape, and get it out get it out to Syracuse by 4 or 5 o'clock. So it was an intense 2 years, but it taught me so much on how to edit quick. It got my technique down. I knew what I had to do. I wasn't, wasting time basically. So after that, I moved on, and I felt that I wanted to try and take it out, do something on my own. So I started my own production company. And after a few years of doing that, because also my wife and I, we got married, and then kids started to show up, and someone had to stay home with the kids. So I was able to work from home, edit, and take care of the kids at the same time. Very crazy, but doable. It wasn't the easiest, but it could have been a lot worse. And then after that, so about 5 years or so into it, then all of a sudden where we all met up, the Utica Comet showed up. I sent an email, said, hey, I'm a video guy. You guys looking for any video? And they were, and I gave them a price they couldn't beat. And the rest is history. Met Eric and met Chris there, and I was their video guy for the first 2 seasons, and then after that things kind of changed a little bit, and then I became the replay guy, and I would run camera. So I did a little bit of everything that And now, after that, I kind of was, once my kids got into school and I didn't have to worry about being home all the time, was kind of feeling things out. And I was barely even looking for 2 weeks and got an offer from the Comets. And I was like, why not? Let's do it. I enjoy being there. I like everybody that was there. So why not just enjoy it instead of sitting home by myself all the time?
So now you get to sit next to me all the time.
I get to sit next to Eric and I sit there and tell him, Eric, that's not how you design a logo. This is how you do it. And he listens to me so well. And then after I make my comment, then he's just like, whatever. And he does what looks fantastic because you can't mess with what Eric designs. Sorry.
This is true.
So, and yeah, I know you can't. He does a fantastic job. So I'm glad he's here because also he knows a lot about podcasts compared to me.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this is I probably am the only one that regularly listens to podcasts at all.
I'm getting better about it. I've listened to another one. I'm trying to listen to one each day and a different one, just experiencing what's out there.
I listen to them fairly regularly, like almost every day.
Okay. Watch them. Do you ever watch the video ones?
Yes.
Okay.
There's
What's your favorite?
My favorite is Chris D'Elia's. Congratulations with Chris D'Elia. He's a comedian, for those that don't know. So he just basically, it's just him. He's only had guests, I think, twice, and it was his brother both times. And he just basically gets on in front of the camera and just rants about stuff. And basically his podcast is about things I've thought to myself in my head that I kind of like get angry about. And then he just kind of vents to the camera for like an hour. And it's like sort of like a therapy session when I listen to his podcast. So
that's cool.
And sometimes I used to only listen to it, like the audio version, and then people told me, you need to watch the video. And then I would start watching the video, and then it made more sense. Like there's all these like pauses where there's no audio, and then he'll be like making some sort of face or doing something on camera. And some of them you can get away with just listening to the audio, and then some of them you really have to watch the video.
Yep. And usually the couple that I listen to always talk about, well, sorry if you're an audio listener because you're not seeing what we're talking about right now.
And I was worried about that. That's what I never really got with pod. It's like if you're talking and you're doing a video, though, like you got to make sure your non-viewing person that's just listening gets what you're talking about. But I guess you can just be like that, too, and just be like, sorry, you can't see. Maybe next time. Or check out the video.
Or check out the video or
there
posting of images of what was talked about.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So that's us, everybody. I mean, Eric, Chris, and I. Yeah. And it's like the whole reason we did this. I mean, really, it was Eric. I mean, this kind of started with us talking about it because you always said to me, it's like, I'd like to do a podcast. And I was like, to me, like, I was like, a podcast? Really? It's because my first experience with the podcast was actually back when I was with the Keeler Show. We were trying to do something, and that was podcasting. I want to say that was 2004. So maybe 2005, we were getting into podcasting. And that was just a whole new thing. It was brand new. I mean, there was nothing out there for a podcast, and Bill heard about it, and he's just like, we got to get on top of this, and we got to go out and do it. Well, go out and do it. So, I mean, and if you know anything about Bill Keeler, he's an amazing radio guy. He's been in the market forever around here. He knows what he's doing. So it's like, we already had all the equipment. Just let's do it. And just like that. And that's honestly kind of how we started. All three of us were like, we have the equipment.
No real plan.
No plan.
To do.
No plan.
Yeah, because that's what Chris asked me. Chris goes, so what do you want to do about the podcast? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be negative. I don't want it to be political. I just want to just us three, just us talk. That's all. And whatever's going on. I mean, we do a lot of the same stuff together, but at the same time, like Chris, you got your Star Wars back there. Eric, I mean, you're Star Wars, but you're also quite a bit of a Marvel fan as well, the MCU as well. So
yeah, honestly, I mean, as far as those things go, I didn't even watch a Star Wars movie until in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And MCU, I watched the first three. What was it, like Iron Man? I didn't see Incredible Hulk, but Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. I remember watching those in theaters, but then went didn't even see the Avengers. Didn't even see the Avengers in theaters. Didn't see that for the
Really?
longest time. A long gap, and then jumped back into it like 2 years ago now. I'm actually reading the comic books.
Now, what do you prefer? Would you rather watch the movie, or is it more like everybody says, like the book is always so much better, more better than the movie?
More better.
Yeah, I know that was great English, huh?
It's very interesting because the movies are all adapted from the comic books,
Yeah.
but usually more loosely than a book would be adapted to a movie, because there's just years of storyline for a lot of these things. Like Spider-Man goes back to the 60s. Like, I can't even see it actually because you're in a narrow view on mine.
Well, you're cut. Yeah, yours are probably gone. But
I know what you're pointing at there.
Hasn't fallen yet.
So everything in the movie is decently adapted or somehow pulling from the comics, but told differently. So it's very interesting, having watched all the movies, to go back through the comics and see, oh, that's why that story happened, or that's who that character is, and sometimes it's so completely different.
Now, what are you reading right now?
Right now I'm really hooked on Daredevil.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you watched the Netflix series.
No, you told me to, is what you've told me I should.
If
I haven't
not,
seen I haven't seen the final season, but I've seen I think there's 4, right? I've seen 3, or if there's 2.
There's 3.
There's 3. Okay, so I've seen 2. And I was going to watch it, and then I started watching Defenders. And then I was unclear on whether I should watch all of this before I got into the final season of Daredevil or whatever.
Yeah, Defenders takes place, I believe, between seasons 2 and 3 of Daredevil. But Defenders as a whole is an okay series. They tried to do their Avengers thing where they introduced a bunch of characters and then pulled them all together. It just didn't work as well as the individual shows. Daredevil is great. Jessica Jones is great. Luke Cage is really good. The Iron Fist one, though, I only watched 3 episodes and just couldn't get into it. It's very subpar compared to the other 3.
I watched all of Jessica Jones. I thought the first season was excellent, mostly because of the villain. I thought the villain in the first season kind of stole the show. And I mean, the Jessica Jones, all the seasons were good, and the woman who plays Jessica Jones was really good also.
Kristen Ritter, I believe.
Is that her name? Yeah. When I was younger, I knew all the actresses and actors and these things that I watched, and now as I get older, I just don't know who anybody is. I'm like, oh, it's Thor, or.
I'm like the complete opposite. I used to not know who actors and actresses were, and now I'm trying to learn. I'm like, oh, they were this, they were that. For instance, I'm gonna butcher his name, but Vincent D'Onofrio or whatever, he plays Kingpin.
Yep.
In Daredevil. Do you know what he's from before that?
He has quite the resume, so you're gonna have to be more specific.
Yeah, I was gonna say you told me this and I don't remember.
He was Private Pyle in Full Metal Jacket.
That's the big one. That was the one that blew my mind. I'm like, oh crap! I didn't realize that at all until I just pulled up his IMDb randomly while watching. I'm like, who's playing King?
He's the bad guy in Men in Black, the original Men in Black.
Yes, that one blew my mind twice as much.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the bug guy or whatever his name is.
If you really want your mind blown on Vincent, whatever his last name is, I don't know how to say it.
D'Onofrio. Yeah, I think you're right.
If you've ever watched Adventures in Babysitting with Elizabeth Shue, have you ever seen it?
No.
The 80s one, right?
It's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
He plays there's a side plot in the movie where the little girl that Elizabeth Shue's character is babysitting loves Thor. So she dresses up like Thor and she's running around. So there's a scene in the movie where they make their way into this mechanic shop, and Vincent D'Onofrio comes out and he looks exactly like Thor, and he's ripped and he's shredded, and you wouldn't even recognize that it's him. It's crazy. I remember I watched that movie so many times when I was a kid. I was in love with Elizabeth Shue. And then I came back and it was on Netflix, a couple of years ago or something. And I watched it again and I saw him and I'm like, oh my God, is that Vincent and then sure enough, I went to
It all connects.
Avoid the last name.
I'm just not
Amazing.
going to say
Wow.
it. Vincent D.
This is Vincent. First
Vincent
VD,
D.
man. Vincent D.
Yeah, he's got an amazing filmography.
He does an amazing job with Kingpin or Wilson Fisk in Daredevil as well. Really good. There's been rumors about Charlie Cox, and he plays Daredevil, and Vincent D'Onofrio's character going into the MCU, but then it all is rumor and it's going back and forth. But if there's any way he could keep that role, he does an amazing job with it.
They're rumored to be in the Spider-Man movie, right? Coming out.
Yeah, and then Charlie Cox just recently said,
Shot it down.
If Daredevil's in it, it's not me.
Oh, okay. That's disappointing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping Daredevil's not in it and he gets to reprise the role because
because he was excellent. Yeah,
he was awesome. Much better than Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah,
That one was.
Let's face it. Ben Affleck doesn't have a great track record with superheroes.
No.
He's got.
But I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that Daredevil, and I know you guys are gonna hate me for it, but that one. See, I haven't seen the TV show because I don't know why I can't get into a superhero TV. I can't think of one show I ever watched except for unless it was like a cartoon that I was like into a superhero TV show. It's always been in the movie theater if I liked it. Like I would watch Superman back like the 80s, like Christopher Reeve Superman. That's the only Superman I ever really liked. And then I didn't get back into anything superhero until honestly that came out. So once Spider-Man with Tobey
Maguire.
Is it Maguire? Okay, yeah. I don't know why I was thinking of Jerry Maguire and I thought I was wrong. Sorry. So, but once Tobey Maguire, I really enjoyed the way Sam Raimi did the movie, and I thought that really got me back into watching any superhero movie. It's like once I don't know what it was about it, just loved it, and so
not even 89 Batman though.
89 Batman.
Michael Keaton is Batman to me. I mean,
no, honestly, I didn't like it that much.
Oh,
it was okay. I know it was okay, but it wasn't Batman to me. Like he wasn't Batman to me. I don't know why I couldn't get into him being Batman because I remember him, and it's just because my mom everything was Disney with my mother, and I believe it was Mr. Mom, and so all I ever saw was him in an apron, and now he's Batman, and I couldn't get past that.
Well, I mean,
he's a great villain though. He plays a great villain. All the movies lately where he plays a villain, I'm like he does a fantastic job, but him playing Batman, I don't know. I might have to try and revisit it and give it another shot.
He was one of those characters where when he was Bruce Wayne, he didn't look anything like he did when he was Batman. So it's a great hidden secret identity.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would never place this guy with that brooding guy over there that's beating the crap out of everyone.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I don't know. Maybe I might have to give it another shot again. I watched it briefly even. I couldn't even finish it. I honestly don't think I ever finished it. So maybe I'll have to take a look and see where I can find it online and give it a shot.
Never even finished it.
I don't think I did. And the one movie everybody can't believe I never finished, I can't even get through half of it, The Godfather.
I've seen them all. I think honestly, I don't go as crazy over them as most people do, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I saw them in the 90s, like I didn't see them when they first came out or whatever, but I don't know. They were a little bit they were okay, I would say, but yeah. I know everyone.
The first two are classics, but
yeah. I couldn't do it.
Every time I flip into the channels, I'm not stopping and watching it every single time.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. And the thing what threw me with that whole movie was that's the first time I ever watched a movie. Like when I watch a movie with Well, she was my girlfriend, then my wife, but she never could follow the movie. It's like she goes, wait, who's this person? What's this person doing? Why are they like that's her all the time? And it's not because, there was a phone or anything. She just, I don't know, she didn't follow the movie. I could always follow the movie. I can usually guess what's going to happen in a movie, just, and so that's why she doesn't like watching movies with me, because I usually spoil it. But that was the first movie. I could not follow the characters. I didn't know who was who. And I think it kind of got me upset a little bit, and so I was like, "Screw this movie! I don't want to watch it." I'm not. So I didn't, and I never tried again. Just like Batman.
Just like that.
So just like Batman, I quit halfway through. I couldn't do it.
I liked the '89 Batman and Batman Returns, even when I was younger, and then when I was younger, I watched and whatever Batman Forever and what was the other one? The really bad one.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Batman
and
Robin. Yeah. That was with Clooney, right?
That one was with Clooney. Yep.
With Clooney and Chris O'Donnell and Alicia Silverstone.
Chris O'Donnell was Robin in both of them, but there was a different Batman in each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was Alicia
Silverstone.
Silverstone. That saved the movie for me, but that was okay.
Those were.
It wasn't good acting or anything like, but I was like,
those
I'm
were
good.
movies made strictly for kids. Like, they're terrible.
Yeah, I remember. I went and watched it in high school, and I was like, yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger was Mr. Freeze and
Mr. Freeze.
Was that the
Uma Thurman was?
Which one was that?
Poison Ivy.
That was Batman and Robin.
And
Uma Thurman was Poison Ivy, and then the one before that, Batman Forever, was
Jim Carrey. Was that the
Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Is Two-Face. Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing all those in the theater, and I mean, they were good date movies at the time, but they're not like any great piece of cinema.
Yeah.
I remember collecting the McDonald's mugs. That was my favorite part about those movies.
The McDonald's mugs. Oh my gosh.
Got to have the merch tie-ins.
Yep. Awesome.
I honestly, I didn't really get into the Spider-Man movies when they were in theaters. They're really good, but I just didn't get into back into superhero stuff until probably Dark Knight came out. Or no, I saw Batman Begins also in theaters.
I didn't go. I just waited till it came out, like on DVD or something like that, and then I just bought it.
I think I saw Batman Begins at a drive-in, so it was a double feature. I just went to go see whatever, and I didn't appreciate it as much at the time, but then I rewatched it right before Dark Knight came out, and I was like, wow, this was actually really good.
Yeah.
Dark Knight. To me, that's the best Batman movie because it blew me away. I did not know. I didn't read into it. I didn't follow. I just saw the trailer. I didn't see who was playing. I just knew, the main characters were still the main characters, but like who was playing Joker. When I found out that it was
Heath Ledger,
and his name just left my Heath Ledger. Thank you. His name just left my mind. Totally. I was ready to say it too, and I was like, nope, it's gone. Heath Ledger blew me away. I had no idea that was him. And I watched it in the theaters, and then I got it on DVD. I didn't even look at that time to see who played Joker. It didn't even occur to me to think about it. And then I go, wait, and then I get the DVD and I look and I see all the actors on it. I go, wait, Heath Ledger's in this movie? Wait, where was he? And so then I watched almost the whole movie because I didn't even look it up. I watched the whole movie again. I'm like, where the hell is he? And then all of a sudden, at one point, I'm like, he's the flipping Joker. Ledger's the Joker. And I did not know this watching it almost 2 whole times. And I'm like, wow. But yeah, he blew me away. He did such a great job.
Before the movie came out, a lot of people were flipping out that, you got this cowboy from Brokeback Mountain to be the Joker? That's going to be terrible. Everyone was ragging on that casting.
I missed that totally.
Arguably the best joke. I mean, now you can make arguments for 3 of them, but
yeah.
Live action Joker, really good.
Yeah. Yep. So it's unbelievable sometimes, just how that all comes together.
You know who always does that for me, like you were saying, Chuck, where you didn't even realize that was Heath Ledger was, and now his name escapes me now, but he's back to the back.
D'Onofrio?
Ooh, call back. He was Bane in Batman in the new Batman series, the Christopher Nolan's
Tom
Batman.
Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah. He was in The Revenant, right? He was like the bad guy besides the bear in The Revenant. Have you guys seen that?
I actually have not seen The Revenant.
Mm-mm.
No. All right, it took me. I watched the entire movie and I was like, that guy who was, I don't remember his character's name in the movie, but I'm like, that guy was pretty good. I'm going to look it up and see what the actor's name is. And it was Tom Hardy. I'm pretty sure it's Tom Hardy. I might be talking out of turn there, but, and he's done that to me for a couple movies where I'll be watching it and he's a fairly famous guy, even though I couldn't remember what his name was. But, I've seen so many movies where I just don't even realize it's him because I think he's one of those actors that just kind of loses himself in his roles.
Mm-hmm. Bane's tough though. He also he had that mask the whole time. I mean,
Bane. I knew he was Bane. I was just that was my thing of trying to get you guys to say what his name was.
A friend of mine actually, he was an extra in that movie. You know the fight scene where Batman and Bane are finally going in. It's like the final action scene where he gets out. Oh wait, spoiler. Hopefully you've seen this by now.
How dare you?
If you haven't,
movie I haven't seen though.
I know there's a fight. They fight.
It came out.
A friend of mine. He was one of the. He was like one of Bane's. I not a henchman. One of Bane's people fighting the police, and so actually in the shot where. Yeah, he was actually one of them, and he was in a fight scene where it's just like the cops and Bane and Batman and the whole group they're just all fighting together, and it's just when they're trying to find the bomb for the city. So I thought that was cool, that he was able to be. Yeah, he's done a lot of different movies, but it was cool to know he was in that one. And he shows you exactly right. He has it's just a moment. It's right there. But if you pause it at this certain point, you see him. He's like right there. He's like a red bandana over his mouth or something like that. So it's like, oh yeah, it is Paul. That's awesome. So
is he an actor? Or is he like a stuntman?
Kind of both. A little bit of both. He did a lot of stunt work down in Pennsylvania, and he posts videos online. He was trying to develop a company down Pittsburgh way, I think. And so he was working on that a lot, but now I think he's moved back up this way, and I know his heart's still there to do stuff. So, I mean, what he's into now, I haven't seen a lot. I know he just had a kid. Congratulations, Paul, by the way. So he's probably a little busy being dad right now. So it's a little crazy to set yourself on fire, but, I mean, you never know. Maybe once in a while he wants to. So, but yeah, he has being a stuntman, you got to get through a certain amount of certifications so you can do different stunts for different movies, yada, yada, yada. So I know he'd kind of gotten through a couple levels, I believe, for being a stuntman. So it was pretty cool.
That was a job I wanted when I was a kid. That was one of the things I said I wanted to do was to be a stuntman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't pan out though.
No, I just wanted to be in the movies. I just want to be in the movies. Didn't matter.
I just want to be in the movies.
Just want to be in the movies. What do you need me to do? Okay, we'll do it.
Extra.
I just don't want to go get coffee. Whatever. I'll go stand over there, pretend to talk to this person. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. So, well, guys, I think we'll call it there. I think that's a hell of a first show.
I think so.
What do you guys think?
I was a big fan of all of us.
All of us.
I'm going to tweet about us. I'm going to like all of our posts because you know what? I hope that's what everybody else does. That they can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Twitter. They can find us on Instagram. It's like podcast, Bacon on the Rocks podcast or podcast. Yeah. Podcast, Bacon on the Rocks podcast. Sorry.
Subscribe the only one that's different and listen is wherever you get your podcasts.
Exactly. You'll find us there. We're excited about this, and we're going to continue to develop. We hope you guys leave comments because we'd love to read comments and hear what you have to say. We'd love to hear what topics you'd be more interested in us talking about. So please feel free to subscribe, let us know what's going on, email us. All the information is going to be on our Facebook page. So definitely just look us up, and we appreciate you listening to today's first podcast. So first off, I'd again like to thank Eric and Chris for joining me in on this endeavor. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to get better as we go along, but I think it was a hell of a first one. Oh, the other thing, again, I'd like to thank Mike from Aircomb. And again, if you are looking for anything from him, if you need something for your hair, especially I know everybody's hair is getting a little bit longer now, feel free to check him out on his website at aircomb.com. And I'd also like to thank our main sponsor of today's show, Uncle Pete's Boats, when you need a boat. So
thanks, Uncle Pete.
Thanks, Uncle Pete.
Thanks, Uncle Pete. We appreciate you. So, Chris, Eric, we'll do this again next week.